Hello and welcome to another Beer Clipper video. This is the build video for the September edition of the Encounter Terrain 10x10 challenge, and the theme this month is Do You Think It's Toxic? Which is quite fun. And I must admit I've had a few ideas, but I'm not yet set exactly what I'm going to do. But I'm going to make a start anyway, because you've got to make the base and all that. There's things that you have to do for every single build, and in that time I'm sure that I will nail down my idea. So if you're not sure what this is, Joe from Encounter Terrain runs this via Instagram, and there is a Discord group as well. And you have 2 weeks to build something that fits in a 10cm by 10cm square. You can go as high as it wants, but the base and the overhangs, there's all the rules are on his website. And then it's just for fun, and he does a massive video at the end, live stream via Instagram, where he goes through every single entry, and they are awesome, and it's really good fun and well worth getting involved. So if you haven't done one yet, jump over onto Instagram and get involved. So anyway, thanks for watching. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and I always reply to them. I love reading them, and yeah, enjoy the build. Here we are. The starting shot for the 10x10 challenge is including a fork. This was the mystery item. So yeah, that's what that is. And the theme, which is Do You Think It's Toxic? I'm going to make a playable terrain. I'm trying to get ready for Moonstone. Basically, I'm doing lots of terrain which could be used for Moonstone and other fantasy, but mainly Moonstone. And I just printed out this the other day, and I've just finished curing it. And it strikes me that this is actually going to be perfect for a scatter terrain with an ironic theme of Do You Think It's Toxic? Because this is a elven brewery, that's what they call a distillery brewery. It's got a couple of kind of like bubbling cauldrons, some jars, and this awesome little kind of contraption, which is the brewery, and some little steps which sit on here. So what I think I'm going to do is do a small 10x10 base for it, scenic base for it, and that's it. It's going to be quite a simple build. I am still massively overwhelmed with work and other things. I don't want to overwhelm myself with this, but I do want to enter, and I do want to do something cool that I'll actually use. So this will both be a display piece. I'll make it as really nice as I can, but it is going to be my first ever entry which is playable, and this being my 12th entry, that's pretty cool. I'm happy to have finally got around to doing a playable entry. So there we are. So what I'll be doing is I'm going to be cutting this out to 10 centimeters wide, and then I will clamp it down to my base as I do to prevent warping, put some tape on at the 10 centimeter mark, so that I can know how wide to go, and then I will start to do the build, and I'll do the paint, I'll paint this and what have you. I'm going to paint these separately and then put it into place once it's painted. So the first thing actually to do is going to be to prime and paint this up. So once I'm prepared and I'm starting to paint, I'll bring you along, I'll tell you how I do it. So it's going to be mostly a painting video, this, and then we'll have a look at how the terrain is going to get built up around the sides of it. So fingers crossed this will look nice, and it will certainly be useful. I think it'll be a useful build. So yeah, let's see. I debated briefly about using a different base material for this, actually, or base material. I thought about maybe using the card here, but I've decided to stick with this blue foam, mainly because it will then fit in with the rest of the builds I've done, but also because I think actually it's what I want. So you can see a rough layout that I'm coming up with. I've done the lines. I need to put my mask that off, and what I'm going to do is we're going to have the distillery, or whatever it is, I'm sitting up some steps, and it's going to be like a ruins, or going to be some kind of walls. I'm not sure if it's going to be ruins or not. I'm going to do the flagstone bay floor with air dry clay on the bottom, have this sitting in there somehow, and have a maybe a sign or something like that, which would maybe indicate potential hazard. The other idea I've had about indicating potential hazard is a tree with red berries on it, which could be toxic berries, and that could be what they're making here. So this is going to be scatter terrain, it's going to be playable. What I'm probably going to do is cut some steps in here, so or a little one shallow step in here, and then I can put flagstone on that shallow step, and then flagstone the whole of the rest of the area. I think I like the idea about the tree best, so I think that's what I'm going to do. And I might do, so have this to one side, have these kind of like flagons and what have you scattered around, they'll be standing up, and then have a tree here which has red berries and potentially looks a bit poisonous, or not poisonous, toxic, two different things. So yeah, progress. 2 weeks to do this. Going to try to do my thing of maybe 10-15 minutes a day and get it done. I've nearly done all of that now, just going to mask off with some masking tape right now, and then I'll probably leave it until later, come back to it when I've got a little bit more time. But yeah, bit of progress. So since yesterday I've stuck the separate parts of the actual distillery together, and what I'm now going to do is I'm going to go and prime that. So that's going to be done today, done now actually. Going to quickly go and prime that, and then what I'm going to do now here is work out roughly what I'm going to do in terms of steps, whether I'm going to cut a step in here. My thinking is that if I have it quite flat with the tree there, then that's going to probably work best, and I might just shave the front corner off just so that it's a little bit of a slope up to make it a bit more of a playable piece. So the thinking I've got is slope up here, step up here, tree here, and a low wall along that side. So that's how I'm thinking about it at the moment. So I'm going to do those elements, just do the cutting and the shaving. I'll show what it looks like, and then I'm going to go do the priming, which obviously will just be painted in grey. Okay, so I've worked out my plan, which is good. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to roll out and apply the flagstone, the air dry clay, all over this base. I'm just going to do that now, so I'll glue it down with PVA and roller it and that. And what I'll then do is I will draw a circle here, and I'll cut that away, and that is where the tree is going to be growing. So I will put flags in the steps which I've cut. As you can see, I decided to go for a step on either side. I will do a tree here, and I'll do the whole of the base with a flagstones. And what I'll then do is potentially build up where the distillery is, which is primed now downstairs, and maybe put some more air dry clay on over the top of that. But I'm just going to do the whole of the base, because I can always glue things on and layer it up. So I have my large rolling pin, plain rolling pin here, which I can then use that to roll out, and then I have my flagstone rolling pin to put the texture in. So once I've done that and glued it in place, I'll bring it back and show you what it looks like. I've got the air dry clay stuck down, as you can see, well, and now I'm going to cut out this circle, and I've had the bright idea of using the end from the large smooth rolling pin to do so. So that's going to be a really nice regular circle cut out. Isn't that beautiful? And what I might now do actually is keep that, because that's a pretty cool little circular thing that I might use somewhere else. So I might just let that go off as well. So stick that onto something and let that go off at the same time. So yeah, pretty cool. I'll let that dry now. I'll bring you back for the next step shortly. I'm also in the background going to be painting the stuff to go here, the distillery. So I'll bring you along and show you what I'm doing on that. Probably going to do a bit of that later. So this is dried, or gone off, whatever you want to call it, and so is this, which is cool. So I can go in my bit box, and I'll make use of that, I'm sure, for something. You can see here's the actual distillery that's been primed but not painted yet. I've just been fiddling around a little bit, and I'm not sure that I am going to lift it up. I think I'm going to leave it down on the same level. I just think it's going to make more sense, and it will be slightly less. It's just going to be easier to do, and I think it makes more sense. So the next steps I've got are to put some walls up, so that I can start to paint this, I'm going to put a wall here and a wall down the side and a wall at the back. So the step that you'll come up the steps to get in. So I'll have some blocking in the game, but I just need to make sure there's space for miniatures here. So I might tuck that a bit further back and have the wall along here and along there, and maybe not at the back there, I'm not sure, but that's the next thing to do, and obviously I need to paint that. But the other thing is I've got these Warriors of Erewhon, very dusty box, skeleton warriors, which I bought just because Luke from Luke's APS said they were terrible, so I bought them, and they're really useful for skeletal bits. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some of the skeletal bits out of here. So we've got a torso here and legs and what have you, and skulls and all that stuff, and arms. And I'm going to put at least one skeleton that's going to be tucked in here. And that's going to be, rather than a sign, that's going to be the hint of, is it toxic? So there's going to be at least one skeleton there. So I'll get that done as well, get that painted up and glued in place when it's when the rest of it's done. So yeah, so I'm going to start working on these walls. Not 100% sure how I'm going to do it yet. Might do air dry clay. Seems to be a theme for this month on the challenge. People have been talking about it a lot, so I might do it with air dry clay. I think that might work quite nicely. So do some walls here, decide whether I'm going to do a wall at the back, and then also I need to start working on the tree, don't I? So yeah, it's good though. 20 minutes a day, I reckon I'll get this done. So a little bit more thinking, and I've realised that using air dry clay for the walls is probably a bad idea, mainly because air dry clay is quite brittle. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this 5mm XPS. It is shiny, so I will need to use my wire brush on it to scrape it up so that then I can apply paint. But fundamentally that will make it a lot a lot easier to work with, and while it will still be a little bit brittle, a little bit fragile, it won't be brittle, so I can knock it and repair it rather than it shattering. So I will cut out the outline of the wall that I want here and maybe here, make that into a piece and then glue it on once it's done, and that's what I'm going to do now. So I've measured up, as you can see, started to measure up on this piece where the end of the wall is. I will draw a rough kind of scraggly edge and then hand scribe in the bricks. Yeah, pretty old school, but it should look nice. Alright, time to paint the first base colour on this, and what I'm going to go with is the Africa. Now this is a kind of beigey purpley odd colour, which I really like. I don't normally use it as a base colour, but I think on this case I'm going to. So I'm just going to paint this over everything, all of the foam, everything that's exposed, and the edges and everything, and all the walls, and I might take a couple of coats, and then what I'll be able to do is I'll work up from this into the weird iridescence that I have as a vision. The painting of the actual distillery hit a snag. I was going to paint it today, and I got down there and realised that the priming I'd done was not up to scratch, and there was a fair bit that I'd missed because I primed it when I was very tired. And that's always a bad idea. So I've fixed the mistakes, and that's going off, so I'll be able to paint that tomorrow now, or at least start. So there we are, that's going to be all I can do today on this, but at least it's progressing a little bit a day, every day a little bit more. That's how you get things done. You don't have to do things in big bangs, you don't have to rush, just a little bit at a time, and things get done. So yeah, I might do a couple of coats. I'll see what it looks like when I look at it tomorrow, but either way, there we are, a little bit more done. So the next thing I want to do is put some of these bits of shrapnel and glue them in at the base of the walls as fallen down or crumbled masonry bits of the wall. So I'll glue them in place, and then I'll come along with the same paint and I'll paint over them, and then I can start to do the detailing, which I'm quite excited about. So I'm going to do that now, and I'll bring you back when I come to the next step. Right, so this is all dry. The bricks are solidly in place and everything's looking good. So what you can see here is I have an array of nice bright colours, and I also have a tree. Now I was going to do a twisted wire tree, but I don't have time or the inclination or the whatever, so I picked one that I made previously, and that is going to get mounted just in there like that, and I will build up around that, so I can pull that out again, glue it in when I'm ready. But that's basically where that's going to go, and that's going to be fine. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come along with these colours, and I'll run the camera but just put some music on while I'm doing it, because I've no idea. This is going to be completely creative, as in guesswork, to make it pop. Now I do remember that the actual device is going to go here, which is being painted at the moment. I'll give you an update on that in a bit. So I can probably play and practice in this area to work it out, but my thinking is that I'm going to paint every single brick a different colour, and then I'm going to use varnish to make it look like tiles. Now let me bring in another piece that you may have seen if you've watched more of my videos. This here is my Dungeons and Dragons character that I play on my Sunday game, which is great fun, a guy called Finball. This is his sister, as it happens, Brillette. But the point here is you can see that I did the path that they're working on multicoloured and bright. Now these were using my Vallejo colours. I've got golds and all sorts of things in there, but it's just with boat varnish over the top. So what I'm thinking I'm going to do is make use of these colours and paint up all of the bricks and the stones, and then varnish it all and see what that looks like. So this could be a terrible mistake, and it could be that I throw it away, but let's see. Like I say, I'll get myself set up, point the camera in, and you can listen to some nice music while I do this. Apologies for the sound of the printer in the background. That is what the whirring is going. I've got my 3D printer working again. So what I'm going to do now, this is dried, the nice colourfulness, really pleased with it actually. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to gloss it with the yacht varnish, which works really well, as you've seen on that other piece that I've just shown you. But do use a brush that you don't care about, because yeah, unless you've got lots of white spirit around, you are going to ruin your brush. So yeah, it's a really simple process. Just apply it on. It is oil, sorry, it is not water based, so it should not disturb the base that's underneath and cause the colours to run. So I'll get that applied, just one thin coat, not two. One thin coat should do it, and then that will have to sit overnight to go off, because it doesn't go off very quickly, the yacht varnish. It does take a while. So yeah, there we are, get that done. So this tree, which I realise isn't one I made, was made by a guy I believe called Andrew Pennington for the GBHL on Facebook many years ago. I bought a whole batch and I've just got a box of them. So anyway, sorry for claiming that as my own. Anyway, this was dropping, which annoyed me. So what I've done is I've dipped it in my terrain glue, and what I've done here is put a little clamp to hold it up, and then sat it on top of a bit of tissue paper so it doesn't like ruin my top. That should seal those that and prevent it from dropping. So yeah, that's just wanted to say yeah, Andrew's work, and show you the ceiling. So the actual piece is looking really good. The varnish is drying. It's not dry yet, but it's drying nicely and it's giving the effect that I want, the glisten that I want. And when that's dried, I'll start to work on the walls, and I have a good idea on that, but you'll have to wait because I haven't decided yet. But I think I know what I'm going to do. Okay, so the distillery thing has been painted. I'm really pleased with it actually. I've gone with some like colour shift paints, a lot of silver, a lot of metallic blue. Really like it. So that is going to fit in really nicely there as well. So the next thing I need to do is start to look at these walls, and I have come up with an idea, as I say, and I think it's what I'm going to do. So I've got blue paint, and as always I use the lid of the paint pot to a paint bottle. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to paint blue, but I'm going to paint blue on haphazardly so it looks like it might have kind of flaked off. Okay, so that's that. So I'm just going to paint that over all of these bricks. So it looks like it was rendered or something, but now it's not looking so nice. And then when that's done and dried, then I will glue this in place. I've not done any of the other things that came with this just yet. I actually been looking at them thinking I don't really want to. So the next thing that I need to do is finish off around the base of the tree, put the skeleton in, and then I'm pretty much done. So I'm really close to finish, and I'm really liking how it's looking. It's really worked out well. So yeah, I'll get this painted, glued in, and I'll bring you along when I come to finish up. This is really quite close now. I do need to paint that skeleton though, I keep forgetting. I will do that after I film this. So what I'm going to do now is put some detritus and some scatter. And I've got these tea leaves. This is, I did a challenge, little friendly challenge. These are dried tea leaves from my morning brew. Still actually going on that, though not very actively. I should maybe push it a bit more to make terrain with your morning brew. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come along, I'm just going to scatter this around in the corners, and then I'll drop her on some glue to hold it in place. I don't want to put too much on, but I do want it to be obvious as well, if you see what I mean. So it's a bit of an odd one, this. So yeah, so I might do this off camera because I want to like rotate and get in and whatever the angles. But that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put that in. You can see the effect that I'm going for there, just in the corner. I don't want to cover up the amazingly coloured tiles, but I do also want it to look a little bit abandoned. So yeah, going to get this done now. While I'm doing this, I'm going to put the colours underneath the tree. And I've thought about this quite a long time. I've got these multicoloured homemade flocks, and I'm just going to scatter these on. This is a very colourful piece and I want to roll with that. So yeah, just going to put a couple of these in, and I might even put some of the tea. It's a little bit too bulky. How I'm gluing this down is with a little spray of alcohol, just a touch, and then get the dropper and drop it on, and you can see it really soaks in well. And what I'm going to do while I'm doing this is glue the tree in place as well. So I will do that off camera. I'm going to have to go and get some glue. I'll dip it in PVA and drop that in the hole. But yeah, so I'm going to carry on with this, building up this detritus and waste. I am thinking about putting a bit more greenery on it, but I'm not sure, so I might leave that for tonight. But yeah, this will be another couple of little scatters, and then it'll be done. So this is fun detail work. I'm gluing the skeleton together, and one of the issues I had is that all of the legs are either running or walking or whatever, and sitting down didn't work. So what I've had to do is actually cut the leg in half and then glue it back together again. And I just thought I'd quickly talk that through because it was quite a fun, horrible, nasty process. So what I had to do was first of all attempt to use my super thin to glue it, which worked okay, held it in place. And then I dropped on the filler that I use, that I really like, that was recommended to me by Brushstroke, who actually I need to get in touch with. I've not spoken to him for a little while, called Mr. Dissolved Putty from Mr. Hobby. So that's the stuff there. That's what I've used. So then I dropped a little bit of that onto the joint, and that has worked really well. So this leg here, the right leg, is actually been cut and then glued back together, and that now he will now sit nicely in place where I want him to. So I'm going to put arms on, not sure about feet, and then go and paint him up, and then he'll be ready to go on the diorama, or on the playing piece, because it's not a diorama, this one. Printer's running in the background, so this will be a quick clip. I'm happy with this for now. I'm going to unclamp and then cut it out, and then what I'm going to do is come along with the same Africa paint and paint the two sides that are currently got the excess on, and then I will stare at it, because it is now Thursday, so I have a couple of days, so I'll stare at it, and if I think I want to add something more or change something, then I will. I was considering some greenery or something kind of like growing over the walls, but I'm not sure. So I'm going to stare at it for a bit. This could be it done, bar having to cut it out, which I'll do right now. And there you have it. This build turned out about 100 times better than I expected it to. I had a lot of fun with the build, and a really colourful result, really cool, and it's going to look really good on the tabletop. At the moment it is displayed, it is taking the part of a diorama, but it is certainly intended for playability, or maybe even just to add some interest and to be put it to one side, but it certainly was built with the idea of being on a gaming table, and I hope that did come across. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you made it this far, I really do appreciate it. Please do let me know in the comments below what you think. I love reading all your comments. I do reply to every single one of them, so don't be shy, do say hello. And yeah, I appreciate you taking the time to watch my video. Now I'll wrap up by saying, as I always do, please stay healthy, stay safe, and stay well.